AP classes where, you know, schools and teachers, there's so many resources that are there, but there's also a lot of gaps that exist. And so I think a lot of students spend a lot of time at home Googling and trying to find resources and sort of fending for themselves. And so if that's you, you can put a thumbs up in the chat if you're like, I've done that.
From a
or you
teacher
can do
standpoint, that's
the reaction.
me.
Yeah, teachers too.
Yes.
And so we started building out a content library for students that was things that were designed by other students and by teachers to really plug some of those holes. We started streaming and doing trivia and all kinds of things. And so in the last year or so, we've really grown to reach. Last year, fully across the year, there was 1.4 million students that studied with Fiveable in some way, which was really awesome. And we, from that, have stayed at this like 92% pass rate. So every year, 92% of our students are getting 3s, 4s, or 5s. So I think the secret sauce for us is just it's about the community. It's about connecting students so that, you know, you can be with each other. It's about connecting you to teachers who just like care so deeply about you and about the subjects they're teaching. And it's also about creating these like real world connections too, so that, you know, you're not just like trying to memorize a bunch of stuff. Like you're actually learning content that's going to be useful in the future and for the test that you have to take. So that's kind of the whole background. This year we're doing courses for the first time. Obviously it's a crazy year with remote learning. And so we felt like we can provide something that we knew students would really need. So with that, I know a lot of you guys are already signed up for the class. Maybe you could put in the chat a 1 if you are signed up for stats already. Maybe a 2 if you're not signed up yet, but you're thinking about it. So we have created a quick like coupon code. If you are signed up for stats, but you're thinking about signing up for another class, either in the fall or the spring, you could use this as well. You can use the code OH Open House 10, and I'll put the link in the chat too. So you feel free to share it with your friends. Fiveable.me. Share it with your friends. You can use it for another class. So for showing up tonight, we'll give you that. With that, I'm around in Slack if you ever want to reach out to me. You have big ideas for Fiveable, you know, if only we did something, or big questions, I'm here for you. So I'm going to kick it off to Becky, who is head of content. She'll introduce herself, and then she'll bring in Josh, who is the stats teacher.
Woo. Thank you, Amanda. Hi, everyone. My name is Becky. I'm head of content at Fiveable. I also started out as a teacher, teaching something very different. I taught 5th grade. And moved into nonprofit work, and now I'm here at Fiveable. I'm supporting in lots of different ways with courses, and so once you're in courses, you'll kind of see me in and out, popping around, and supporting. And with that, I want to introduce your stats teacher, Josh, who's going to kind of take us through who he is, what his vision is for this course. If you have any questions about courses, the logistics, any of that while Josh is talking, feel free to just write that in the chat and I can kind of monitor that. But we'll also save some time at the end if you have questions specifically for Josh and what the AP Stats class will look like. So with that, here's Josh.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you're all here. I really love teaching, and I love being able to share my love of statistics with everybody, and doing it virtually is something I'm looking forward to, and meeting all of you and sharing that love of statistics with all of you. I have some slides I was going to share, and I'm not able to share the slides. Becky,
okay, let me. Okay, you should be able to now.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So yes, like Amanda and Becky said, my name is Josh Argo. You can just call me Josh. That's totally fine. Hi, y'all. That kind of gives you a little bit of information about where I'm from. I am from Birmingham, Alabama. So I saw some Atlanta people in the chat. That's not too far down the road for me. I'm actually on the east side of Atlanta as well. So I'm closer to you than like downtown Birmingham would be. I'm sure it is very hot where you're at as well. It is extremely hot and humid right now in Birmingham with the rain we've been getting from the hurricanes. I teach currently at Leeds High School, which is, like I said, a little bit on the east side of Birmingham. I enjoy spending time with my wife, my 2 boys, my 1 dog, my 2 cats, my 1 duck, and 16 chickens. So we have a very full house. Last spring over quarantine, we had anywhere between 1 to 6 or 7 cats. Our cat had kittens over quarantine, and anywhere between 7 and I think 22 or 23 chickens. So we have gotten rid of some chickens that were roosters that we didn't keep, and we gave away some of the kittens to nice, lovely new homes because 5 or 6 cats was a bit much for us. But it was a fun adventure while we were cooped up at home, so it was a lot of fun. I graduated from the University of Alabama at Birmingham with a bachelor's in science, a master's in education, and an EDS. Yes, Stephen, fresh eggs. We are all the time giving out, selling, trading eggs for everything. We bartered for things all throughout quarantine. I'll give you iced coffee was my favorite. I have a friend that makes really good iced coffee, and I was like, if you bring me a batch of iced coffee, I'll give you a dozen of eggs, and that was our deal. It was nice. So yeah, that's a little bit about my educational background. I'm also national board certified. I went through that in 2016, which was a great experience as an educator. So that's a little bit about me. My classroom experience, this is my 3rd year teaching AP Stats, and it is absolutely my favorite subject to teach. I can just see the connections, and I think that is so important in today's world because everybody is on social media. Everybody is sharing and seeing articles posted, seeing statistical studies and things like that. And in this course, we'll talk more about this later, you get to be able to learn the methods in which you can question those studies. And it's a math that you can see the use behind it. Most people, if you ask them after high school, if they are going to use polynomial functions, just throwing something out there for my Algebra 2 course, the answer is no. Most people who, if they're asked if they're going to use data analysis or statistics in their job, the answer is yes for a lot of people. And AP Stats gives you a little bit of a taste of that in preparing you for things that you might see in college and things like that. So I'm really excited about teaching statistics. I'm excited that that is working its way into other parts of the math curriculum as well, because I think it's way more important than most of the math you've learned. And it's definitely very applicable. So I've been teaching math for 12 years. I've taught basically every math course except for pre-cal and AP calculus. I leave that to the real math nerds. My department makes fun of me because I just harp on stats all the time. And they're like, but what about limits and differentiability? And I'm like, yeah, you can keep that for yourself. I'm gonna focus on stats. So in terms of remote learning, last year during quarantine, I hooked up with Fiveable, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to be able to work with a great team of people who their mission was the same as mine, and that was to bridge some educational gaps in the AP community, and especially in the time of COVID, being able to help students out all over the world and also give more resources to my personal students who needed more help in their AP classes as everything sort of shut down. So that was a great experience. Since then, I've looked at a lot of various ways that that students can become engaged with virtual learning. I look forward to implementing some of those different ways. One thing, especially in stats, is being able to collect data virtually. It's really easy in the classroom. You know, you can measure how tall everybody is, and they can go get a sticky dot and go stick it on a poster across the room. Clearly, we're in Southern Cal, Alabama, Georgia, Turkey. It's really hard to get a sticky dot and go walk across the room and stick a sticky dot up on a poster chart. But there are ways that we can do that virtually that I'm really looking forward to using through the Fiveable course this fall. I'm really looking at ways that we can make our live streams not just, going over core ideas. While that's also very important, I think we can do a lot of the data analysis and data collection virtually that helps you to really see the connections in statistics. So I'm looking forward to trying some of those this year through the Fiveable course. You can expect things from this course. This is just kind of a rundown. It will last 15 weeks. So there are 9 units in statistics. There are some units that are not covered as much on the exam. We'll probably spend 1 week on those units. And then there are some that are, 15 to 20% of the exam comes from that unit. We'll spend probably 2 weeks on that. I've kind of split up those units into core ideas that you can expect to see on the exam, 2 sets of core ideas. So kind of what a week would look like. There'll be a weekly live stream. Like I said, where hopefully we're able to collect data virtually in some way and then build off of the concepts from that unit based off the data we collect. Weekly free response questions that will be graded by TAs or reader who have actually read for the AP exam, which is a huge plus to have. If you've ever been in other AP courses, having people to grade your work that have actually sat for the AP reading is huge. Okay, that is an invaluable resource to have through taking the course at Fiveable. We're also going to have bi-weekly or monthly projects, and I can't wait to start working with our TAs on this. That will involve data collection and also questioning some statistical claims that apply in our world today. So like I said, there is a ton of numbers and conclusions and correlations and causations being thrown around, especially in the social media world, with all sorts of bias. And we're going to look at some of those statistical claims and collect our own data and see what we really think. So I'm looking forward to that. There's also a ton of inside and outside resources that will fill in the gaps that we are not able to do in a weekly live stream and 1 free response question that can hopefully give you what you need to get a 5 on the AP Stats exam. So that is our goal at Fiveable, as the name says. So, again, the things that are provided, a 1-hour live session, tons of resources. We wrote unit guides back in the spring and the summer. And I wrote probably about 1/3 of those unit guides personally. And it was great for me to read through the course and exam description and see exactly what needed to be on there and match that with questions that I had used before. So those unit guides are written from people who know what is on the exam and know what it is you need to know to be successful. An in-depth assessment, which will probably look a lot like the assessments that were part of the exam last year. Last year, the exam was 2 questions, and those 2 questions encompassed several units, and they were in free response format. So I'm thinking that our assessments this year will look like that. Once we have more content under our belt, those weekly assessments will not just cover 1 concept, but will cover multiple concepts, much like the exam did last year. Also, office hours with the TA, where you can get help and clarification on things. Opportunities to chat with each other, okay? We're really big on community this year and building a community of learners, which I'm really excited about being a part of as well, and having that community experience as we work through the content. Also, some data collection activities that will allow us to question those claims and perform different calculations with that are part of the content. So here's kind of a 1-week preview. Oh, I went too fast. I've broken it up sort of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday by what's on the course exam description and then those big picture ideas. We're actually going to start in Unit 3 as opposed to Unit 1. Unit 3 is a lot of vocabulary about how you put together a statistical study. So I think it's important to lay that groundwork of how you collect a random sample or how you randomly assign treatments for an experiment before we start doing any of the calculations. So we're going to do Unit 3 and then following with Units 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you can see Monday live stream. I don't know what day the actual live stream will be on, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, whenever. Different discussion posts, some office hours, the free response that's due by Friday that you'll get feedback on, some videos, and then the unit guides that I was talking about. So you get a lot of the content is going to come from the unit or from the unit guides and the videos, and then our live stream will talk about how to kind of summarize that, maybe go over a free response, and also hopefully do those data collection activities where we really see the connections all across the curriculum. You'll see things in unit 7 that we talked about in unit 5 that we also talked about in unit 1 and unit 3. So it all kind of starts to gel together towards the end. Some advice for the course. AP Stats is not like your other math classes. And I've told all of my students this since I've been teaching AP Stats. I really have 3 goals for my AP Stats students. Number 1 is to give them a college-like experience, which in Fiveable is going to be like an online college course experience. Number 2, for you to pass the exam and get college credit. And then number 3 is for you to be able to read something you see online and be able to call BS. Okay, and I got permission to say BS, from the people at Fiveable. So yeah, the ability to be able to read something and say, you know what, no, this is not true. They're saying that this thing, whatever, is correlated with something else, and they only asked 5 people. Well, that's not a big enough sample size to actually say that those things are correlated, okay? Or even worse, that they're causing one another. So I want you to be able to read that. I love when my former students come back to me and say, I read this article in college and it had all sorts of problems. There was all sorts of bias in the way that they collected their samples. There was a bias in the way they asked the question. And I just don't believe their conclusion that they came to. To me, that's making better citizens, especially digital citizens, as we have social media and just rampant sharing of misinformation. It drives me insane, the sharing of misinformation right now that we see. And I want you guys to be able to, from a mathematical standpoint, be able to identify that and say, no, that's not okay. That's not true. So to me, maybe that's even more important than you passing a test. Tests can only measure so much. So I'm definitely very passionate about that as well. It's really more of a mix of a science, math, and like a social science type of course. Like we won't even do anything with numbers for the first 2 weeks. Where as you're in AP Cal, everything is numbers, right? It's a class where you can easily see the applications of it in everyday interaction. Again, graphs and data analysis is everywhere in our world, especially on, like I said, social media. That's my soapbox. I heard a statistic one time where they took recent college graduates and they polled them on what percentage of them would use calculus in their job after college. And the percentage was like 3%. So there's like a 3% likelihood that you would use calculus in the workforce. Engineers, mathematicians, several other occupations, but still a small scheme of the big picture. And then they asked what percentage of the workforce would use data analysis in terms of graphs and interpreting data. And that percentage was like 65%. So it was a way bigger percentage than calculus. I'm not hating on AP Cal. If you're going to be an engineer or you're going to be a mathematician and want to study pure math, then you absolutely need calculus. But if you're not going into a math field, AP statistics is going to help you out. Like there's so many applications in it and jobs that you wouldn't think are math related jobs. But AP stats can help you to definitely get ahead in that. And by studying weekly and getting help on aspects that we don't understand, and also looking at old tests, which we're going to do together, that's what's going to set you up to be successful. It's following that weekly plan and accomplishing, if it's a video, taking notes, doing that. If you have a question, asking that question in the discussion on the course, or getting in touch with the TA, getting in touch with me, things like that, and really clarifying those key core ideas. And again, looking at old tests, which we're going to do, then you're setting yourself up to be successful. I really think AP Stats is a class that if you are dedicated and organized enough to study individually, then you can self-learn AP Statistics a lot more, at least in my mind, than you probably could something like AP Calculus. So I think that learning it through the course layout from Fiveable is definitely something that you can be successful at. So different reasons to take a Fiveable course. There's no grades attached to it, so you don't have to worry about what my grade is, which I like a lot more in personally as a teacher when you're focused more on the concepts and what you're really learning as opposed to the grade. Your personal pace, you can go at your own pace, work ahead, things like that. Do everything on a Monday and then spend the rest of the week kind of digesting it. Community is great. The community piece of Fiveable is what's really going to be key to separate the Fiveable courses through other self-studying methods. Valuable feedback from exam readers is huge. I'm excited about working with those readers as well. And there's no prerequisites. I know some schools might have a prerequisite of pre-cal for AP statistics, and I really don't like that. Luckily, my school, I can pretty much just say this student wants to take AP stats and they believe me, but I know that's not the case everywhere. So you don't have to worry about what prerequisites you've had. Anybody is welcome and you can hop in and learn with us. So if you are a math person, which several of you probably are, you might be taking AP Cal at your school or maybe through another Fiveable course, and you're just trying to get as much math credit as you want. I think AP Stats is great because it's going to introduce you to a new topic of math that you probably haven't seen much of before. And if you're like me, you might actually enjoy it more than the algebra and the geometries in the world. It's really fun. It's just a different approach to mathematics, and I think you might really enjoy it. So that's all I have. I'm gonna let you guys ask some questions. You can use the chat and throw those questions out there, either about the Fiveable course big picture or just about AP stats in general. So definitely hit up the chat. Let us know what questions you have. I'm excited you're all here.
While we're kind of waiting for anyone who has, oh, great, first question. Of course, as soon as they start talking, someone asks a question.
Okay, will the weekly lectures be recorded? I believe they are, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They'll be recorded. And so if you're part of the course, but for some reason, you know, the scheduling doesn't work out for you to be able to watch it live, it will be recorded and you will have access to that.
Okay. And then the estimated workload per week, I'm thinking maybe 3 to 4 hours per week. And there will be a lot of resources up that will be almost repetitive of other resources. Like you might have 2 videos and one video is, you could get all the content from one video, but the second one's really going to help you to solidify that. So I would say 3 to 4 hours a week workload, doing the FRQ, the live stream, and reading the other resources. The course is set to start September 8th, which is a week from today, right? Yes. Woohoo!
1 week.
Minimum math level required for a smooth course. I would say Algebra 2, but even then, stats is really its own, it's its own beast, okay? Some algebra courses, you might talk about stats. Some algebra courses, you might not talk about stats anyways. And you'll be fine one way or the other. So if you're concerned about that, you know, you can shoot us an email and we can really talk about where you're at personally and tackle it from there. Prescribed books for the course. All the resources will be created by me and curated from other resources through our team at Fiveable. TI Inspire CX that one is good. That one's great. The only ones that are not approved, I believe, are the TI Inspire, like the CASX, the ones with the algebra system. But I'm pretty sure the CX is good. Penalized if we do not hand in the FRQs on time. I'm not really sure on that, what the structure would be on that.
I can kind of take that one. I think the way that you can think about it is this course is whatever you want it to be. So because you're not getting grades, because, you know, we're not going to kind of put on your transcript whether or not you were quote unquote successful, it's really what you make of it. So if you don't turn in an FRQ, like that's not going to impact Josh or the reader necessarily. That just means like one less moment when you get to practice your own skills, right? And so there's no penalty except maybe like you aren't sure that you fully understand that concept because you didn't fully participate in that moment. I think we can talk a little bit about, we can kind of figure out amongst the team whether you can like turn in FRQs later and like have, readers would be able to then give you feedback after the fact. But I would say it's ultimately up to you whether or not, and like how you participate and how much you interact with the different activities and projects that you'd be participating in.
So a syllabus, so there's not a textbook, but there is a syllabus where like what topics we're going to discuss in which week. And I don't know, are like the pacing guides in Notion going to be available for students to see?
Yes, they will eventually be on our website and they'll have access to them through the courses too.
Okay. All right. Good deal. No, Lillian, the courses, so if you sign up to take it in the fall, you will cover the whole content in the fall, and then it will be offered again in the spring. So it's 2 separate courses. Either TI Inspire or TI 84. I'm more familiar with the 84, but I know how to do the stuff on the Inspire, and I could help you with that. So either one's fine. Whichever one you have is good. I don't want you buying a separate calculator for your for the class. Yes, by taking it in the spring, in the fall, there would be that spring time before the AP test. Are we going to do cram sessions right before the exam?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so while, if you take the course in the fall, in the spring, while you might not, you can take it again to get extra support, but if you take it now so you don't take it in the spring, there will still be updated resources, crams, all of that will provide you support throughout the spring as well.
Good. And will they still have access to the courses in the spring? Could they go back and watch like the resources?
That's a really good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I will follow up about that one.
Okay. Good deal. I'm not sure on the live lecture times either. I don't think we've set those yet, have we?
Yeah, we're still finalizing that schedule. And as soon as we do, we'll let all the students know who are in that particular course. And those are also, adjustable throughout the course as well, if those need to be changed.
Okay. We would meet once a week for about an hour. Cram streams included in the price of the course. Do we know that one?
Sorry, my internet cut out as soon as that started, so I missed all of that. Can we do that again?
Okay. Are the cram streams included in the price of the course?
Yeah, that's also something we're figuring out. For the fall, there just aren't going to be as many. But then in the spring, that is something that we're looking into, as someone who's involved in the course would have full access. But I would say for the time being, the course would give you full access to all of our resources, whether they're part of the course or crams, things like that.
Okay, and the fall course will cover the entire course material. So we will cover units 1 through 9 of AP Stats, as everything from the course exam description, which you can get from the College Board website. So all the content will be covered in the fall. Course clash with another according to time and day?
Probably not. We are trying to make a schedule so that, we know that people are taking multiple courses, and so we're trying to make sure that the schedule makes sense so that there's just one going on at each time. Okay. Whew, those were great questions.
Those were great questions. I'm struggling to keep up again.
I know, I'm like,
Awesome.
Want to make sure we answer all of them.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we'll wrap up here. I do want to remind us, and I'll put it in the chat again, because I know some people kind of came in throughout, but we are offering now, some of you have probably already signed up for the stats course. If you came in here kind of looking to see what it was about and you're really excited about it now, you have the opportunity to sign up for it. And we have a code that you can put in that's $10 off. The code is OH and then 10, open house, $10 off. Feel free to share that with your friends too. You can use, if you've already signed up for stats, but you're thinking about signing up for another one, you can use that code for any of the courses, any one of the courses that you would like to sign up for. So with that, thank you all so much for being here, for asking great questions. Thank you, Josh, for introducing yourself and the course. Yeah.
Yep. Can't wait to see everybody next week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
Josh.
Yes.
Bye.
Have a good week.